All right, let me first of all thank our speakers very much for their very interesting presentations and for sharing with us the experiences from their projects within their organizations. We still have 10 minutes to the lunch break, which is good news because we have time for some questions. But before we go to the questions, I would like to make some sort of let's say to broadcast a promotional message. So there has been some sort of discussion in some of the presentations about the cost and the benefits, and we also saw this morning that maybe the cost savings is not the most important thing, but it is important. So the ISA² program has in fact come up with a mechanism that helps projects identify and quantify the costs and the benefits of their solutions. So we really warmly invite all of you to talk to us, talk to Ioannis Sayas from ISA and my colleague Andrea from PwC, who are there just behind you to help you apply the mechanism in your context and assess the costs and the benefits. And with this promotional message, we can go to our Q&A session. Still a bit of promotion. Great. And let's go to questions and answers. I see there are not many questions, but if you do have a question, now it's the time to ask your question. Otherwise, I will ask my question. Or you will have a question. Great. You can choose who you want to answer the question, or you can pose it.
Yeah, I have a very specific question on colleague from Austria about the application, about the data, because you said it's financial data. Does it have cash flow invoices, or is only budgetary data?
I was impressed by the Czech example, because in Austria we do not have the individual transactions. We only have the budget and the actual spending data. So we have that, but on an account basis, not every transaction, but all the accounts, the spending accounts, and they are published in 3 levels. So from education, you can go to the preschool education and then to the kindergarten. There are several more levels, but we don't have that. That's not published.
Actually, as supervisor, it's not actually cash flow. It's not every transaction. It's based on the content as well. But it's sort of. But so you don't have suppliers. You know, information about suppliers. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. One more question. Yes.
I've got a question to most of the colleagues. You mentioned you are using open source data, open source, and the question is, I always hear when I discuss with the people that open source is not secure. You don't have a service for it, and it's dangerous to use it. What is your experience to using open source against traditional, let's say, information like companies like Microsoft or others?
Okay, my experience is great with open source. I think that the security by design, which is controlled by all the people that see the source code, is the best. And yeah, okay, so I don't have to turn around. And we also have some software on the ministry which is not open source, which is developed by companies that we paid for, and it's closed source kind of. And I think it's very more dangerous, and if there is a problem, it's not with open source software, but with this software. I'll just pass it somewhere.
I do not totally agree with my colleague. There is indeed a risk with open source software. If you use open source, there is indeed a risk, a security risk. But if you have the people to handle that, that's the cost, and the benefit, you don't pay any license. And certainly the most important benefit is that you don't have any vendor lock-in. But I do agree there is a risk with using open source, but you have to recognize it and organize your organization around it.
Thank you very much. Do we have any other questions? Question? Do you want me to comment? Of course, please. Sorry.
Maybe just a different response. In Burgundy, we are quite happy with the open source. We are committed to use the open source solutions, but it is not simple to, when talking to our members, small municipalities, it's not simple to sell, to leverage on the fact we use the open source solution. They do not understand. The CIOs will understand, but small public bodies, they just don't mind. That's still a generational gap between elected deputies concerning new technologies and open source issues, and it's more a strategic choice that we have to assume on a daily basis.
Thank you. I believe there was one question. No? Okay. Okay, and maybe then just one final question to all our speakers who have been here today. One of the objectives of those workshops like today is actually to share also experiences, and obviously as all of you are here today presenting, it means that you have a story to tell and experiences to share. So I will just maybe start from this side, and I would like each of you to just tell us, if you had to start today, what would you have done differently, and what you would have done as you have already done? So please.
So in Burgundy-Franche-Comté, what is peculiar is this 10-year contract partnership, knowing that the technical evolutions are rapid. Maybe it's not a good idea to have this long-running contract. It's an administrative point, but it may be important when dealing with IT projects.
Well, 12 years after the start of the project, it's difficult to say exactly how to rebuild this kind of project. I think open source was more clear in the 2005 than now, so it was easier for us. The problem we had in the 2005 is to convince the different levels of e-gov in Belgium. Is really where we had to spend more time to convince politics rather than technicians, because we really manage technicians very well. They understand really what the project will be, but not politics. And so we had many problems with politics afterwards, who blocked really the project because they simply don't understand. So I think it's the main point for us.
Thank you.
At this time, I can't remember something or something different from the steps we have followed. Thank you.
Well, Citadel was a European project with very strict, for everybody who knows how European projects are run, very strict deliverables. And after 1 year, we discovered that we are on completely the wrong track. We had a long and serious discussion with the Commission, and we were allowed to change. But now, if I had to start again, and luckily the whole philosophy of Europe has changed as well, co-creation. You start with talking to your customers and don't throw an application to them and say, oh, why aren't they not happy? We thought it was so good.
Thank you.
Okay, so for us, when we did this application 2 years ago or 1 year ago, every application in the public sector in Czech Republic was huge. It had to do everything, like totally everything. It would cost hundreds of million crowns. So we thought we will think really simple. We will do really, really simple app. And we actually made the first app in 2 weeks. But then it got famous and all the institutions wanted to join. And everyone would ask, do you want to publish it open source? And we were like, yeah, we want all of this. But our application wasn't ready for that, so we had to rewrite most of the source code. So that's what I would do differently.
Well, nobody knew in 2010, 2011 how to manage an IoT platform, so we developed this platform in the way that God let us know, really. No, I will not change anything. We have done this project step by step, not knowing what the next step will be. And we have to say that we have had a lot of freedom from our managers to manage the project in the way we believe in this moment. There was no pressure, there was no problem with budget, but you have said it has not been a huge amount of budget involved in the project. And I'm proud of the result of what we have done, very proud. I will not change nothing.
Well, the one thing I always would like to change, and also would like to change now, is I would like to disclose all the data of all the municipalities at once. But due to legal restrictions, we are not allowed to do that, so that's the problem. But maybe I can share with you our experience when we started out with an open source community. There is openspending.org. So we wanted to actually use this software and join this open source community. We actually did it with the first two cities, and then we had a set of features that we suggested and had some money, and we said we would like to have these features implemented. Who of your community would be interested in doing this? And no one reacted, so we couldn't do it. So we had to start our own system. So this also is open source communities are special, and you have to be careful how to approach them, how to work with them. They might have different ideas or opinions about how to develop their software further, and it might not work. So it did not work out with us. That's fine. We have our own approach now. I would do it like this again, but I think the first step in trying to engage with the open source community is a very important one. So you should still continue to try that.
Thank you. What should we do if we start now, or what should we do different if we start now? If we start now, then it's too late. We have now a platform that's mature within 2 years. What I would change is we should start earlier, not 2 years ago, but 4 years ago. That's what my answer on that.
And on this, thank you very much, and join me in giving a very warm applause to our speakers today, and thank you very much. Enjoy lunch.